Alright, so the next part, actually I forgot to mention, you do need this guy here. This is a Hobby Cement. Comes in from different brands, but basically these are great for ABS plastic. This is kind of like super glue, but this one binds the plastic a lot better. It kind of melts it a little bit too, so be careful in using them. And this is great for seam line removal. I kind of did a little bit of hit here, so pretty much I apply. Well, I'm gonna demonstrate on the legs. You apply it and you kind of squeeze it and just hold on to it for a few seconds and let it dry. Then afterwards you're gonna go ahead and sand it down. So let me demonstrate on this one first. So let's open this one, and again, be careful, don't get it get the glue somewhere. We're just gonna hold this end here, just apply on the edges, and we don't need a lot, just enough. Then find the piece that goes with this. Where is that? Right here. There we go. Put a little bit of pressure. And try not to, if there's some glue that comes out, do not try to wipe it off. Doing so, again, will smear the plastic. And just let it dry first. Once it's dry, then you can go ahead and sand it. So this is good. Do the other one as well. And if there is a poly cap, you don't want to put the Hobby Cement on the poly cap, so just on the plastic. There we go. And we're good. Let it dry. Alright, so again, for the certain parts, go ahead and get some sanding stick. And this is just to remove the seam line. I'm kind of using the coarse or a lower grit sandpaper or sanding stick. Just kind of even that out. Then afterwards, I get one of this to smooth it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as you can feel it smooth, because afterwards we're gonna paint it anyway, so we don't need to be really critical at this point, but just make sure it's smooth out. So maybe sand it a little bit further. There we go, it's smooth. Maybe a little bit more, and just go through all the seam line where the two plastic pieces meet. And there we go. That's pretty much seam line removal in a nutshell. But remember, again, do the sanding once the super glue, or not super glue, the Hobby Cement dries up. And make sure you close this afterwards. Again, you don't want this to be spilling. All right. Alright, so this time we're gonna do painting. And I got one piece here. I'm just gonna start with one, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put the first layer, then show you the second layer, and so on. So first up, we're gonna add a bit of paint in this metal tin or metal dish. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of paint. I'm using Evergreen by Americana right here. I really like this dark green. You can find probably something similar to that. Get your brush here, and we're just gonna go ahead and apply the first layer. The first layer is always not gonna be good, or doesn't look great at all. So I'm just gonna get some, I should use alligator clips, but I'm just gonna do this, same thing. And key is to make it as thin as possible and just let the paint dry and stick. So that's gonna be your first coat. Some people will say, why not prime it? It's actually the same thing. And when I prime my kits, I usually just use the matte gray. But since this is already a matte color, it does the same thing. Alright, so I'm just applying a thin layer of paint all over this. I'm not trying to cover everything right away. Just apply as much as I can, spread the paint. There we go. Alright, and I'm going to be adding a little bit inside also. So we get a little bit of a uniform. Make sure you paint the edges also here at the tip. Alright. Then I'm just going to clean my brush, dip it in some water, wipe it off, and there we go. Let it dry, then work on the other. Oh, there goes the piece. It's somewhat dry right now, and I'm going to go ahead and proceed with the other pieces, then continue with the second layer. Alright, so after the first layer, you're just going to get something like this. So slightly green, and it's already helpful since the plastic or the color of the plastic is already green, like this one too. The only problem is the darker part, the gray part, or the black. You might need a lot more layers, and eventually a little bit more. So here's what I have so far with just one layer of paint. I'm painting as much as I can. This one, only the ones that are going to be shown. This back side is not gonna be, since we have the helmet. So yeah. So second layer, let's start that. Here we go. A little bit out of focus. Let me just check something real quick. Alright. It's also great if you're doing this with the music on, but I cannot do that right now. So with the second layer of paint, and usually you want to paint perpendicular where you started. So when you're going this way the first time, you want to do it this way second time. Again, make sure your next layer, or pretty much all your layers, are going to be thin. Make sure there's no paint pooling. Don't want that. Alright, so for the most part it's going to be like that. When it dries, I can paint the part where I'm holding it at. And same thing with this. That's a little too thick, so just evenly spread it out. And this process is relatively easy. You're not right now. I'm not worried if it's gonna go over the plastic. Can always clean that up. And this is the base coat. You know, the darker green. And it doesn't matter if it went over inside. It's gonna get covered again. But later on, when we're adding the details, we're adding brown, and that's when you gotta be a little careful. Alright, that's done. And let me do one more with a foot. Just add green. And eventually it's gonna be the same color as you can see right now. Just gonna keep applying paint layer by layer. I think this is gonna be probably a good, I'll probably add another layer. Three might be good, but sometimes I go with 4 or 5 depending. Usually by the time I finish I finish one layer, I go back to the first one I painted, and that's ready for the next one. Yep. And this paint dries just basically depends on how humid and the temperature in your area. Right now it's really cool where I'm at. Humidity is kind of high too. Well, actually not that high, probably around 70%. And temperature's about 60, so it's kind of cool here. So that's good. Alright, I'm gonna go finish this for the second layer and get back to the third layer. Alright, so getting back to this, I actually just ended up adding 3 or 4 coats. And as long as you get it fully covered, the inside part, you don't really need to worry about that one. So I'm just gonna start on this one. So basically, I still have this one. This is the base coat, as you can see here. This is the evergreen, and I had a little, or quite a bit of the grasshopper green, the kind of like a neon or lime green. So it's not fully this. I had a little bit of the darker green, so it's slightly, I don't know how to put it. I just don't want it too bright. So for dry brushing, I'm gonna get a little bit of paint, not a lot. Then I'm gonna dab it, try to get rid as much as I can. Then I'm gonna go ahead and dab on top, and maybe kind of brush it across here. And maybe a little bit more. I don't know if you guys can see that. Sometimes I forget which brush I use, so this might work. Sometimes I just go with something like this. Do the same thing. Just kind of brushing it across there. I want to get that a bit of shadow, as you can see. Alright. Towards down here. So I'm lightly brushing it side to side. And this is just a little bit of paint. Less is more. You can always add more. Alright, working way down. And it's great that you have you already painted this with a base coat with a brush. It gives you more texture. So that's what I'm after right now, texture. Alright, so I'm gonna start on the other side now. Again, a little bit of paint. Alright, as much as you can. Then I'm just gonna go like that. And again, the idea is I'm taking advantage of the creases there on the mold of those two things and create a shadow around it. Also here too. Then sometimes you can spin around the brush, kind of get that random effect. Sometimes you just kind of want to just rub it on the edges, so you get more of that worn out look. Like it's getting scratched on the edge. Yep. And that's pretty much the whole process of dry brushing. Kind of easy to do. You know, just takes patience. and take your time. Not sure what else it's to tell you about this. Pretty much a straightforward technique. Alright, and just gonna keep going. I think I saw my fingerprint there. Add a little bit on the edges here. And a little bit inside. Yeah. Let me do this a little bit more on top. And a little bit on the inside. Although the thing with the inside, I didn't really fully painted it. So, I still have that light green from the original plastic. So, probably just a little here. And don't forget to paint the edges. And there we go. Alright. Alright, so just refocusing my camera. So this is what I have. Really great. I really like the texture. And yeah, that's pretty much dry brushing in a nutshell. Alright, I'm gonna go complete the other ones and move on to the next part, which is painting the brown for the kind of like this guy here. Which is not too hard, just painting on top of it. Alright, so next part, we'll be adding the brown. And I'm just gonna use this DecoArt Cinnamon Brown. And I kind of broke up the cup on this one, unfortunately. And another question is, do you thin your paints? Nope. I should be doing them, but they're already quite thin already, so I don't find the use of doing so. Alright, so got a little bit of paint there, and I'm gonna just start on this one right here. Alright, so add a little bit of paint. This one, you don't need to dab it on the paper towel, because we're just gonna go straightly paint this. And this is the part where you need to have a steady hand. And I'm just going slightly across it. I usually do this right very close to my face, where I have my full attention. For this one too, I might need more than one coat, although it kind of seems like I'm fully coating it. Probably 2 or 3 coats, and make sure it's flat. I mean, oh, not flat, smooth. Thin layers, that's a key on painting. Gotta do it in thin layers, let it dry, and repeat till you get full coverage. And take your time. Alright, I'm gonna go paint this one too, but I'm not gonna paint the circle part. So we still have that illusion that this is around his wrist. There we go. And just make sure, try not to make mistakes, especially overlapping that part, because it's really hard to fix that since we already did a little bit of dry brushing on that. But maybe little mistakes we can still fix that by adding a little bit of green. But there we go. I'm gonna paint the top part also, but again, I need to do it up close. But yeah, that's basically it. And after it dries, I don't know if you can see it right there. I'm not gonna paint it, 'cause I have to let it dry first, but it needs another layer, like what I said before. So there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and complete this, and continue on. Alright, getting back to this. Actually, a heads up. I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I'm working on this little by little. So I do a little bit each night. I gotta catch up with anime, YouTube videos, and TV series. But getting back to this, I painted this last night. Got the brown parts here, the knees, the wrist, elbow pads. There we go, looking good. I kind of assemble it, put things together, even the head. I haven't painted the bandana yet. So far I'm just painting kind of like here in Donatello. I just have the inside part. Maybe I'll paint the outside part yet over here, but for the time being, we'll see how it turns out first. So that's that. But I'm gonna go ahead and paint the inner shell, or the pyramid their chest. So that's gonna be yellow. I use a goldenrod and a bright orange. Kind of want to have something darker, yellowish orange for the base coat. Then I'm gonna go ahead and dry brush yellow on top of that. Gonna just give it a bit of texture. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that up and continue on. Alright, mixing paint. I usually just wing it. That's how we roll. Wing it. Alright, so a little bit of yellow. Here we go. Actually, it's always good to shake the ball first. There we go. A little bit of yellow. Maybe a little bit more. Alright. And maybe a drop of orange. There we go. Oh, I forgot to shake it. Alright, so here we go. A little bit of, just a little drop. There we go. And hopefully that works. If not, I'll add more orange. Kind of look like an egg. Alright, mix with a toothpick. And that is something, that's the color I kind of want. Some yellowish orange. Alright. There we go. So that's the desired color I needed. Let me mix a little bit more. Alright, so let's see. First up, we'll be painting this guy here. I'm gonna go ahead and hold it up with a nose pliers right here and proceed on painting. Alright, I don't know how well this is gonna show, but do need a paintbrush. I'm just gonna use this one I've been using for the brown. Right. Again, light strokes, and this is one of those that you might want to prime it with something like a white or gray. Although matte white, or well, the regular white, has always been a troublesome color to paint, since it really shows the strokes and everything. But since we're painting a lighter color, this will be fine. You just need a lot more coats. I would probably say at least 3. Might go even 4 or 5. Just depends. So I'm applying a first coat here, and obviously the first coat is gonna look ugly. But yeah. Again, make sure it's even, or try to make it the paint. What am I saying? Thin layers. There we go. Thin layers is good. Sometimes it's hard to talk while concentrating on painting. Alright, that's that part. Now here comes the hard part, these little small white vents. And I think I just painted my base. Oops. Hopefully that will... Oh, there we go. Alright. Getting back to this. Same thing. Just dab a little bit of orange. Yellow orange. And just smear as much as I can on the white piece. There we go. Let it actually dries really quick. It is summer, so it's getting hotter here. And more humid. Then again, I live in a place where it's always foggy. Yep, living near the bay. Alright, there you go. It's actually another reason why I can't really use spray cans. It's really windy outside. Now I'm not gonna do that indoors. I don't want to inhale all those toxic fumes or get the garage or my room smelling like that. Alright, that's that. This part here, I'm just gonna paint a section of this. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's somewhere in here. Yep, down here. And a little bit on top. And over here. There we go, first layer. Here, it's actually kind of hard to paint this section here. Let's see, so I'm just gonna go paint this way. And when you're on the edge, you know, it's kind of hard sometimes, especially if you don't have a steady hand. But just take your time, do it slowly. Alright, I'm just gonna paint this down here, all the way here. That's why sometimes I just leave the plastic color. That way I can do a cleanup. I can just scratch off the paint where it went over. But since I already painted on top of that, I can't really scratch it. Alright, so on this part, I kind of have it so it's kind of angled. Just see, it's going to be somewhere in here. And there we go. I need to touch up some of them, but I need a little bit more concentration, and I might do it off camera. Alright, so somewhere in there. There we go. Alright. We're making a little bit more progress. There we go. So you know what? I might as well. I think I can do it. I need to clear my camera. It's getting full. Alright, hopefully I'll finish this before I run out of space. There we go. Well, if you ever go over, you can always retouch it, especially for the brown, since that's not a gradient with the dry brushing. So again, make sure it's flat and thin. Well, actually not too bad if you have a little bit extra paint. Gonna give it a little bit of texture, but yeah, I think you get what I'm trying to say. I gotta paint this side too, but I'll go ahead and finish that up and moving on. Alright, so there we go. I just went ahead and dry brushed the yellow. It's nothing different from what I did with the green already, and it's not gonna show quite well with the camera setting right now. But yeah, it's looking great so far. I just need to paint pretty much the benda or the eye area and work on the nunchucks. I am using some of my stuff from Stick Fuzz. I have the handle for the nunchucks, but doesn't have the chain, and couldn't even find a chain to go with that. So I might have to rig up something. So we'll see how that turns out tomorrow. Alright, so that's it for now.